Happy Monday. Hope you guys had a good weekend. Hey, maybe your pro team won. I know the Cowboys lost. My Rams won. And, of course, the most important thing, the Razorbacks got the dub. As we're watching this video together on the Patreon screen, the volume is turned down on purpose. Look at them names. You want to join that list? Sign up on Patreon. Go sign up on Patreon. Let's do this. 3, 2, 1. Yo! What's going on, Arkansas Razorback fans? Welcome. Autobots, roll out. Oh, I can't do it anymore. I used to be so good at that. I need more of this. Low sugar Monster tea plus lemonade. Need it to coat the vocals, the vocal cords. Autobots, roll out. I can't do it, damn it. All right. What a weekend. Right? And today, honestly, you get started off with a nice little nugget. How about Arkansas basketball? Ranked number 10 according to the preseason AP. That's not bad when you consider you've got a whole bunch of newbies. Like 90% of your starting roster could be newbies. Do me a favor, if you guys haven't already, like, share, subscribe. I've got Haas, who's in a Twitter war right now with somebody. Yeah, I posted a stat on the offensive production for the Kendall Briles needs to be fired crowd. So I posted an offensive stat. We'll kind of go over that here in just a little bit. I'm trying to get caught up here. Trying to get all the retweets. Get all the retweets put out. Let's get the retweets put out. Shout out to Apex Tattoo Studio, the sponsor of this show. Would not be able to do this without Patreon supporters and, of course, without Apex Tattoo Studio, who operate out of Rogers. 615 West Oak Street, Rogers, Arkansas. Give them a call today. Get your appointment to get a little ink done. They'll treat you right. 479-278-2694. Again, that's 479-278-2694 at 615 West Oak Street, Rogers, Arkansas, 72756. There's some of their art is on display there as well. Like I said, they'll make the ugly tats look good. If you've got a forward-facing hog tat that you want fixed, I would recommend getting it removed. It's so funny. When I made that comment a little while back about the forward-facing hog tattoo, someone DM'd me and they were like, "Bro, I've got a forward-facing hog tattoo. Are you telling me I need to get it removed?" And I said, "Yeah, I think you should." Yeah. So, shout out to them and Patreon supporters and you guys. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Subscribe to the content. Arkansas basketball AP top 10. Not shocking when you consider what they have with this recruiting class. Devo's back, who I think is is just a solid perimeter defender, and he's a guy that knows and understands exactly what Muss is looking for on the floor. You know, I do suspect they're going to have some growing pains early on. It wouldn't shock me at all if this team loses a couple like they did last year that they had no business losing. You know, they got blown out by Oklahoma. Tell me at the end of the year that Oklahoma would have blown them out. No way in hell. Arkansas wins that game. No way in hell that the OU beats Arkansas at the end of the season. They were such a different team on the floor. The rotation was tightened down. As the year goes on, it'll start off with a 9-man rotation, right? It'll start off with 9, and then it'll shrink down to about 8 to 7, right? It wouldn't shock me if they get to a 6-man rotation. That's the goal for Musselman. Did I say Pittman earlier? I feel like I said Pittman talking about basketball. I'm sorry. I've got football in the brain. I'm so excited after that win against BYU. But excited for Eric Musselman and this basketball program. Oh my goodness. I don't know for you guys what you're happy with or what you feel like has to happen. Because I'll tell you, a lot of, I know a lot of you are basketball, or a lot of you are football only. A lot of you are only here for the football content. I get that. But basketball, I don't know how many casual basketball fans have reached out to me and they're like, bro, Musselman has completely roped me in, and I'm expecting Final Four or national championship. Listen, national titles don't come around to the university often when you're talking about the three major sports, right? I think for people to be like, if they don't make the national title game of the Final Four, I'm going to be pissed. No. Can you be a little disappointed if they don't make it far into the tournament? And we're so far away from March. I understand that, but I do want to. I did this last year going into the basketball season. I do want people to kind of pump their brakes a little bit, because a lot of the rhetoric, a lot of the stuff that's out there is Arkansas's. They're in the Final Four. That's what they are, and I'm not going to be pleased. I'm not going to be pleased with any damn thing else. Like, that's not the mentality. You had back-to-back Elite Eights, which is fantastic. You've got the number 2 recruiting class. You've got Devo back. You've got some, Trevon Brazile, who, they had their red-white scrimmage. I don't actually have the numbers from that red-white scrimmage, but I heard Brazile looked pretty good. I saw people tweeting that he's a first-round draft pick. I don't know if that's true or not, but I do think we need to just pump the brakes a little bit. I am excited about basketball. They're going to have some growing pains going into January, coming in and coming out of January. They're probably going to have some growing pains they're trying to fix. They'll still be in contention by February, and then they just take off. They take off in February. That's what I feel like probably happens given the schedule, even though it's brutal. The end of the schedule is brutal. It's oh Lord. Let's hear some good news. What's up, Ty? Yeah, I mean, that's some good news, though. Preseason top 10. It's been a minute since Arkansas's been preseason top 10 in the AP. What's up, Ty? Here they go with this 11 a.m. kickoff again. I know. But I think that's in Arkansas's favor. That's in Arkansas's favor because Auburn can get wild. Even when they're bad, the later, as Sam has said before, no matter where you play, the later you play on the road, the more wild. How did he put it? Tailgates get better as longer the day goes on or whatever. I'm okay with 11 a.m. kickoff on the road. Yeah, I kind of wish it was like a 2:30 kickoff, sure. But I'm fine with 11 a.m. kickoff on the road. If that were in Fayetteville, yeah, I'd be a little pissed. Sure. But that game deserves to be an 11 a.m. kickoff. Let's be real. The perception, I'm not saying that this is reality, the perception of the national media is Arkansas is not a ranked opponent. Therefore, they're a middle-of-the-pack SEC team and all this, and Auburn's not very good. Brian Harsin, I'm surprised he hasn't been fired yet. But after all, they didn't play a horrible game this last weekend, so maybe that kind of saved him. I thought there was a possibility he wouldn't be the guy. I really thought they might fire him before Arkansas, the week that Arkansas played. I really thought there's a possibility of that happening given the way the season started for them. But I don't know what his buyout looks like. I don't know what his contract looks like. It can't be that great, right? How much money isn't Auburn still paying Gus Malzahn? Aren't they still paying him? Aren't they still shilling out some money for him? Shelling out some money for him. So I get why it's 11 a.m. kickoff. I don't have a problem with it. I think Arkansas is better than some people think, but I don't think they're as good as some Razorback fans think they are. Some people seem to think that Arkansas has completely turned the corner. Someone mentioned that in our Discord this morning, actually. Honestly, not a bad take. I think some people are probably on cloud 9 after the win, which is fine, but now it's like, well, they're winning out. Whoa! Hold on. Happy Monday, everyone. What's up, Steven? How you doing? Mike and them says, I know I saw Dom John out there for at least 2 plays, 0 carries. This is just too strange. No idea what's going on. To me, the Dominic Johnson situation is as strange as, in a different way maybe, and maybe strange isn't even the right way to put it. It's a weird thing, like what we saw with Malik Hornsby. When he came back out of the portal, it's like they made some deal with him. Okay, all right, but you're going to have to play some wide receiver. And like they were so reluctant to take him out of that. And we saw it early on in the year, even when the word through fall camp was, well, we don't need him out there because the receivers had such a great fall camp. We know now, the receivers had a solid fall camp. But the reason for that, the DBs are terrible. The defensive backs are really bad. That's what's going on. That's why the receivers look so great through fall camp. Not to say that the receivers are bad. I'm not saying that at all. But it was just a weird dynamic between what was happening with Malik Hornsby and then the reluctance of starting him against Mississippi State. And it's kind of the same thing with Dominic Johnson. Like, you're talking about all these players on that roster. There's a lot of egos you got to manage, right? A lot of individuals you got to keep happy. There's so much that happens behind the scenes, that some stuff that I've heard little snippets of here and there, but nothing like, I don't know how concrete any of it is. But, there is that out there for sure. There is a perception out there that, there might be a little bit of tug of war action happening between maybe a player or two in the staff. And maybe it is Malik Hornsby and Dominic Johnson. I have no idea. That's not verified. That's not me saying that's. But please don't take anything I say out of context, and don't quote me on any of this. I'm just saying maybe that's what's happening with these two guys. I don't know. Malik Hornsby is very clearly QB2, and I thought that all through fall camp. Otis Kirk did as well. Most of the media, as far as I know, thought the same thing. The individuals I hear talk and the conversations that happen while we're waiting to go into practice, some of it is why the hell Malik Hornsby was clearly QB2. And maybe he does have that Matt Jones effect where, Matt Jones had the reputation of not being great in practice. I heard that a lot and read that a lot back in the day. He's just not getting it done in practice. You saw what he did on the field. Maybe that's what's happening. And then, again, the punting situation. Reed Bauer versus Max Fletcher. Why did they keep Fletcher out there? Is this an evaluation issue that the staff is having with some of their players? I don't think so, but it's starting to make you wonder a little bit how either there's stuff that we just don't know that's going on, which is very likely behind the scenes, or they're struggling to evaluate some of these players. And again, a lot of different positions you got to evaluate. I think for the most part, they've done a fantastic job. I really do. I think for the most part, they've done a fantastic job in evaluating the talent that they have out on the field and the product that they have out on the field. I think, and they're also doing the best they can with what they have. I like the move of the receivers to corner or to DB. I just hope it doesn't mess with their longevity within the program. I'll say that. I don't know. What's good tying the crew? What's up, Woo Pig? What crew? Are you talking about chat? Because I'm a one-man show here. How you doing, though? Appreciate it, Woo Pig 00. Hog Barbecue, what up, Ty? How you doing, man? Your name makes me hungry every time I read it. Some folks are just dumb. Final Four bust, question mark? Never. It shouldn't be Final Four bust yet. Like, not yet. No, not yet. They've gotten to the Elite Eight, back-to-back years. That's a big deal. I love Muss's team because the first half of the season is a team-building roller coaster, and the second half is consistent execution. That's an excellent way of looking at it, Steven 1383. Yes. Haas says, I think I'm getting some ink this weekend. I know you're not up here in NWA, but if you were, you know where I'd point you to. I'd point you to Apex. Devo has to step up offensively. I don't think he does. That's never been a part of his game. That's never, one postseason, one Elite Eight run. Yeah, he got it done offensively. I think I would like a little bit more offensive production out of him, sure, but maybe not that much. I mean, he's a defensive guy, great perimeter defender. I don't think he has to step up. Like, if you mean just a little bit more production on the offensive end, sure. Hey, I'm one of those fans. I'm not big on hoops, but I'm with Muss. It seems like a lot of the people who've just come around to basketball the last couple of years seem to me to have the highest of high expectations. And it's like, listen, Arkansas basketball through the 21st century has been way below what's considered good here. right? Throughout the 80s and 90s, hell, you can go back to Sutton in the 70s and of course in the early 80s and Nolan in the 80s and all the way up until about the late 90s. Like Arkansas basketball, the expectation was you're going to make a tournament run. Nolan didn't get off to a fast start. I think he was – well, I think his third season when he started to finally get it all put together out on the floor. But most of the 80s, most of the 90s, and then you fast forward to the 21st century, you fast forward to the 2000s, and the basketball program is just – it's not been anywhere – it's not sniffed anywhere near that level of play consistently. If not this year, then when? Welcome to college athletics. I mean, think of how many teams would kill to be in the situation of going back-to-back Elite Eights. Woo pig 00. How many teams would kill to be in the position that Arkansas is in right now? Having the number 2 class, having the back-to-back Elite Eight runs, having a coach like Eric Musselman. Yeah, I agree. Like, if not this year, then when? Sure, you're going to have some guys that are probably one and done, but Muss has shown that he can get it done. Other than year one, and I would argue he won 6 or 7 more games than most people thought he would year one. But he has shown that he's highly respected. He can get it done in recruiting, and he can get it done in the portal. This is going to be a big test for him because of this is the most newness he's ever had to deal with, right? Other than year one when he was the new guy, right? What's up, Scott? How you doing? I bet y'all are still jumping for joy. Oh, man, I'm telling you, Richard. I'm telling you, we're tickled pink. Tickled pink. Arkansas fans deserve that BYU win for sure, man. That was great. I was so happy to see Odom use a forefront. Manny, I agree, man. It was nice to see a little bit of a little bit of variety up front. I'm still a level-headed fan. Got a lot of work to get done. Yeah, no. And if you're talking about football, yes. Basketball, I don't know, man. They have the pieces to win a title, I think. Now, you're going to have to go through Duke. I think Duke ought to be favored. I mean, my God. Duke is going to be good. That recruiting class, I think they've got a couple pieces coming back they feel really good about. Again, don't quote me on that. I'm not up to snuff on Duke, but I'm pretty sure I was reading something along the lines of Duke bringing back a couple of guys on top of having one of the greatest classes they've ever signed, which is saying so much for a program like Duke. Let's get back to this tweet really quick that I sent out about Arkansas's offense. My God, Twitter is just. I just don't understand. I don't understand. Chris McKnight says that Hudson Clark doesn't deserve co-SEC Player of the Week. I don't think playing out of position garnishes these kind of accolades. I don't understand. Is he tweeting at some? I don't understand that tweet. The tweet that I had, and again, I know a lot of people are like, who cares? It's Twitter. But I'm trying to make a point about the offense, if I can find the original tweet. Scrolling on up. For the Fire Kendall Briles crowd, not talking about two different Kendalls. Arkansas offense is now ranked 18th in yards per game, 5th in the SEC through 7 games. 531 plays, 3,400 yards of offense. It's actually 3,420. That's good for 6.4 yards per play. That means every second play you have enough yardage for a first down, clearly, and then some, right? A whole bunch of offensive touchdowns. I think it's actually 20 or 20. I don't think it's 29. I have 29 on there. I need to double check that, but they've improved clearly when you score 50+ points. That's saying something. 488 yards, about 489 actually, yards per game. 489 yards per game. That's why you're top 20 in that category. Also 11th in rushing offense, 337 carries this year, 1,680 yards. That's right at about 5 yards a carry. I mean, you got to think about factoring in the TFLs. You got to factor in the times when KJ has been caught behind the line of scrimmage. It's not often, but lately KJ, like, teams are zeroing in on KJ. We had on our halftime show in Discord, we brought QB Spotlight Steven Hamner in for our Discord. I'm telling you guys, you need to be in Discord. You need to be in there. It was a good time. It was good. Steven Hamner, we talked about how defenses are zeroing in on KJ. That's why the appearance is he's lost in the run game. The truth is, if you watch it, they're zeroing in on KJ. Now your running backs have got to take advantage. Now the passing game should be able to take advantage of that, and that is exactly what they did. But you're 11th in rushing offense, which I'm kind of surprised is not a little higher. 14 rushing touchdowns, 240 rushing yards per game is their average. Last year they were top 8. They were top 6, top 8 almost the entire season. Teams know, and they confront you. They'll bring 7 or 8 guys in the box to deal with Arkansas's run game. But in a lot of that, because the receivers haven't been a big threat, we finally saw what this offense is truly capable of. And by the way, for the BYU sucks on defense crowd, they had the number 24 passing yards allowed defense in the country coming into this game. 24th in the country. That's after playing Oregon. That's after playing Notre Dame. That's after there's one more team on that list that's not bad. That's at least a halfway respectable name. That's after playing some pretty tough games. Baylor's the other one, although that one was at home. That's saying a lot, and KJ made it look easy. And I'm going to tell you, I think part of that was definitely him. I think he has progressed a little bit in the passing game. I don't know how much, but a little bit. Need to bring Steven on and get his take on where he thinks KJ's at on this year versus last year, how much growth we've seen. Some of that is on him, his decision-making, his putting the ball right on the target, and then the other half of it is BYU was absolutely settling in on trying to stop the run, trying to key in on KJ Jefferson, trying to keep an eye on that RPO, take that part of the offense away. It backfired. The offense, the veer and shoot did exactly what it's designed to do against a respectable secondary in BYU. Now, are they deserving of a top 25 ranking or whatever? Well, they can only play the schedule that's been given in front of them. But I just named off a couple teams for you, pretty respectable teams. Notre Dame may not be the Notre Dame of years past, but still Notre Dame football, superior talent on the field. We talked about Baylor, right? Oregon. Arkansas ripped BYU to shreds, and they did that because the efficiency on the field, execution on the field, overpowering these guys on the line of scrimmage, and play calling. A lot of, and you can get into the red zone, and I agree. I've talked about this for a while, for last at least 2-3 weeks. The red zone efficiency has not been great. I think a lot of that has just been lack of execution on the field. Some of it, I would agree, play calling. Dudley Dawson and I talked about that a couple of weeks ago. Getting a little cute, trying to go east-west when the north-south run game has worked perfectly. Like, why are you trying to get cute? What are we doing? And I've been a pretty big skeptic of that. I've been a pretty big skeptic of, last year it was this third down efficiency, third down offensive of efficiency. You know where they're at this year? They're 17th. They have gradually gotten better. 2020, they were 33%. 2021, they were 36%. This year, so far, this is just based on what someone sent to me on Twitter. So far, they're at 49% efficiency on third down. That is exactly – I told you guys, you want to be north of 47%. That's where you want to be at. You saw what they did against BYU on Saturday. Where the hell's that game at? They were 12 of 15 on third down. And BYU did have to shoot themselves in the foot. You remember that fourth down turnover? Arkansas came away with it, and obviously there was a turnover on downs anyways. They had to shoot themselves in the foot. They were 1 for 3 on third down. 26 of 41 completion-wise for Hall. 356 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick for Jaron Hall. Nakua, that guy ripped Arkansas to shreds, man. 8 catches, 141 yards, and a touchdown. My gosh. Landers would have 8 catches, 99 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Sanders, who's top 10 in the country in total yards, and that's including kick return and punt return yards for the rest of that field. He doesn't have those, and he's 10th in the country. He's 10th in the country, and he doesn't even return kicks. 15 carries, 175 yards against BYU. I don't know what else to tell people. If you're going to bitch and moan about this offense, I get some of the skepticism. Like I said, I think there are some things they still need to work out. I do think some of the red zone play calling and the execution on the field needs to be dealt with. Ty, at least y'all got a top 10 or a top basketball team. Yeah, I think all athletics here are doing pretty good. They're at least headed in a good direction. The appearances football took a step back this year. I guess we'll see when the dust settles. Yo, what's up, Ty? What's up, Ash? How you doing, man? My screen froze with your mouth wide open. Might want to get that molar checked out. It's not that bad. Do I got a cavity? Thanks for pointing that out, though, Captain Mike. I appreciate that, guy. Any idea why Barry Odom was on the sidelines for the game? I've had a couple people ask me about that. I really don't know. I have no idea. I mean, I know what they'll – I don't know. Check your DMs. What? Oh, Lord. Oh, the red-white scrimmage. Yeah. Wasn't going to go too deep into that, but, yeah. Brazil – I do appreciate it, Haas. Brazil had 13 points. Smith had 22. Okay, there he is. Yeah, Graham had 25. He was the leading scorer. We don't have assists. I don't see assist. Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay, Black had 9 assists. That's something to keep an eye on. Man. Black with 9 assists. 3 turnovers. You don't want that out of your PG. You don't want 3 turnovers out of your point guard, but we know how handsy Arkansas's defense is. We know that's a part of the DNA of Eric Musselman, getting those hands active. Appreciate the picture or the stat sheet. Thank you, Hawes. Look at that. Moderator and stat fact checker. Yeah, Brazil went 6 of 12. Wow, 50%. How many? 3 of 15 outside. Didn't Pinion go off? I thought I read somewhere Pinion. They went 2 for 5. Ooh, 4 of 16. Ooh, y'all, I don't know. I don't know what to tell y'all about this. I don't know, man. I hope they get. I really hope they can get. I hope they can stretch the floor. Hope the perimeter shooting gets better. I think they're gonna need it to a little bit this year. It was definitely posted. Wait, what was? Oh, the 11 a.m. kickoff. Yeah, for away games. I agree. Yep. They just posted it. Hudson Clark, co-defensive player of the week. Was it co-defensive player of the week? Is that what he got? I just saw it and I congratulated him, and I need to double check. Pretty sure it was co-defensive player of the week. Oh, you rascal. There it is. Yeah. It says there he's defensive player of the week. It doesn't say co on the Arkansas. I don't see co anywhere. People were saying it was co. I don't see co-player. I think did they just give it to him? Well, I mean, hell, he had a fumble recovery, an INT. He led the team in tackles. He was flying all over the damn field. We really needed a win, Ty. I agree with you, Trey. Big time. Is it just me? I don't know where this is going. Or does KJ seem like his placement is just a little bit off, sometimes not allowing a receiver to I mean, I don't know, Mike. I mean, maybe, but that's maybe. But I mean, he was kind of weird to be complaining, though. I mean, he went 29 of 40 for 5 touchdowns for 367 yards against BYU. What more do you want? Listen, you're not going to be on all your throws. Like, nobody is. No one's on all their throws. Yeah, something that he's always done is he's overthrown targets. If he misses, it's typically overthrows. Lately, I think I've seen a couple of short throws. Hornsby struggles with that. Hornsby struggles with underthrowing receivers. And one of those underthrows against Mississippi State resulted in a pick. And then the decision making sometimes, he needs to just calm down when he's outside of the pocket. But yeah, 29 of 40, 367, 9 yards per completion. I mean, you're going to live with that. 94.5 QBR according to ESPN. Arkansas 4-3, 1-1 away from home. Pittman has not lost a non-con game yet. So what is that? 7-0? Is that 7-0? Is that right? Yeah, well, if you count Penn State. If you count Penn State, you're 8-0. KJ's placement has always been my biggest complaint about his passing. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, I don't know. Like, are they always the prettiest balls? No. Ty, we hear you about KB. Now, can you dispute the Fire Odom crowd, or is that reasonable? I didn't even. I'll be honest. I didn't go into too much of the defensive stuff this weekend. It's bad. Secondary is still one of the worst in college football. Passing yards allowed. They're dropping back in the sack total, but they haven't had their bye week yet. They're going to drop back a lot more after this week because they had a late bye week. That's why they're still in the top 15. They don't get off the field. There's so many areas where this team is just bad on defense. Clearly, the passing defense is bad. Red zone defense is not good. Where's their third down conversion on defense? It's like it's bad. Good Lord. We're on page 2. Wait, that can't be right. Did I miss it? Where the hell is it? What? There ain't no way their third down conversion on defense is front page. No way. See, I didn't do any defensive. I didn't look into the defense a whole lot. I'm not seeing. Was Arkansas so bad they just left them off that stat sheet? They're like, no, you don't understand, guys. They're horrible. Florida's dead last on third down defense. Whoa. Yeah, there they are. Okay, Arkansas's 114th. They're 114th. They're just in front of Vanderbilt. They're bad in so many areas. They're just not good on defense. I don't know what to tell. I'll just say I don't want anybody fired in the middle of the season. I don't want any coordinator fired, but although we could justify firing Chad Morris, the head coach, right? You could justify that. I would have to ask you, I think maybe the more appropriate question is for the don't fire Barry Odom crowd. I want someone to give me a proper defense as to why Barry Odom deserves to not be fired. I'm not calling for his job. I'm not saying I agree with either side of that coin. My take is typically let's get through the season, let the dust settle, and then let's evaluate. And let the staff do their job. It's up to Sam. It's up to whatever Hunter tells Sam to do. I'm sure Odom's buyout, I'm sure it's massive. I'm sure they're going to have to, and not only that, I mean, I do think him and Sam are buddies. I don't know that to be a fact. I don't know that they go out and drink beer together somewhere behind closed doors. And I have no idea. I don't know when you consider how often they have fired other coaches. I mean, they have let some people go, and we've been told, well, it's because of recruiting. Well, if recruiting after just 1 year is bad, what do you make of this on the field product on the defensive side of the ball? It is so hard for me to defend the why Odom should keep his job side of this argument. It's really hard for me to argue for that group. Only thing I've got really, Michael Schur was an excellent hire at linebacker coach. I like most of the staff. I would argue that secondary, there's some issues there for sure. Also, he coaches the safeties, by the way. Barry Odom does. I mean, you because of the staff you have around you on defense, you brought in guys like Jordan Dominic, Jackson, the LSU transfer, Drew Sanders, Dwight McLaughlin, Latavius Brinney. They killed it in the portal. I think most of those guys, I would argue, have worked out. Now, Jordan Dominic is kind of, I don't know if he's dealing with some stuff. I don't know if he's got some injuries. We haven't really, and I think a lot of it's because we've seen so much three-man front while you're not seeing these guys play as much. You're not seeing the four-man front as often. But, and also you got to, it's not all their fault. We could sit here and say, well, he has been reluctant to get out of the three-man front. Well, in their defense, their secondary is so bad they can't afford to blitz. They're so concerned, or to bring a fourth guy. They're so concerned about getting beat. They're moving guys around. They're moving Clark back and forth. They've moved two receivers who are expected to get some playing time after this bye week. They're desperate. It's complex. It's just right now, I don't want to be Sam Pittman. I'll say that. You see why these guys make the kind of money they make. This is a tough one. And I'm sure he's friends with his whole staff, and I'm sure he's had the conversation, look, it's nothing personal, it's just business. It's just business. You're not getting the job done. But if your argument is, well, you're not getting it done in recruiting, you're gone, even after just a year, how do you defend keeping a guy after 3 years? We've not really seen a great product consistently through an entire season, and then this year it's completely fallen apart. And then the excuses are, well, the injuries. Okay, but they were bad before the injuries started racking up. You watched the Cincinnati game, right? You watched the Missouri State game. You watched South Carolina. Like, the secondary was bad before the injuries started stockpiling. And then on top of that, where's the depth? Where's the quality depth? Well, they're hurt. Well, they're all hurt? Then why didn't you pack up more? Why wasn't the portal completely attacked in the secondary? Why didn't you, instead of signing, as many defensive linemen as they signed? By the way, they got what was the total? What was it? Was it 5 defensive linemen? How many of them are you using? But it's hard to, again, considering the limitations they had there. You needed those defensive linemen, right? That's why it's such a difficult conversation. But I find it so much more difficult to defend Barry Odom than it is, the other way around. The job's not getting done on the defensive side of the ball. And I don't know. I think a difficult conversation is going to have to be had if it hasn't already been had. I think there are still opportunities for your defense to look better than they really are. And you look at Auburn on offense. And I get it. Both these teams have bye weeks going into that matchup at 11 o'clock at their house. But this is a week to get better, and we've seen what they're capable of coming out of a bye week. We just haven't seen it from the defense. I don't know. I don't have any answers. They are banged up, and that is absolutely a part of the equation. That's a very complicated variable in this very complicated equation. The injuries do matter. You can't overlook the injuries. You can't sit here and say that, they would have been as bad as they are had, Catalon and Slusher and both the Johnsons and Keenwan Parker and all these. If everyone had stayed healthy and was playing, was getting the time on the field, I don't know that they would be as bad as they are. But what we do have, the evidence does show they were still really not good. I mean, Week one, Dudley Dawson and I were talking about how often those Cincinnati receivers were just running downfield wide open, even though they weren't being targeted. And I think I said something to the effect of, boy, I hope that's just a thing that Cincinnati's just good at. They've got talent at wide receiver, because that's not a very good look. And I'm pretty sure we talked about it on the postgame show as well. And then the next week, and then the next week before the injury. So it's I don't know. I could go on about the defense, but the evaluation of the defense right now is not good. I will say against BYU, the defense got some key stops late in that game. I'm glad they were able to. Third down defense wasn't great. It was actually not very good. They went 7 of 13, but they stopped them on 3 fourth down attempts. BYU was just 1 for 3, right? I think BYU averages, don't they average? I think it's like 500 yards of offense at home. They had 471 at home. They created turnovers, and they did what they needed to do to allow the offense to really take off and make this thing get a little ugly for BYU. Could have put more points on the board. And switching it back over to Kendall Briles, Malik Hornsby comes in. They can't get in. I don't know what the hell that last play was all about. I don't know what that last drive was all about. Are you trying to get points or not? Like, what were they doing there? That was so weird. And, again, I think that was kind of just execution on the field, and BYU knew what was coming, and they read it, you know. But, yeah, I think, you know, Arkansas in that final drive, by the way, 16 plays, 73 yards, 10 minutes off the clock. I mean, are you kidding me? We didn't catch that in the postgame. Arkansas didn't. It's not like they dominated the clock. They had 31 minutes to their 28. But that last drive by Arkansas was insane. I mean, that's just crazy. You know, they had another drive, if I could find it. They went 7 plays, 68 yards, 7 plays. They got a touchdown. 2 plays, 75 yards in the end of the second quarter. 33 seconds off the clock, touchdown. 12 plays, 75 yards later on in the what was in the second quarter. 12 plays, 75 yards. Just nuts. And then 16 plays, 73 yards, 10 minutes. I didn't catch that. I didn't even catch that until later, until I was looking at stats. I go, oh, my God. 73 yards, 10 minutes off the clock. That's insane. Chris Mann says, can't make chicken salad out of chicken shit. I mean, that's true. Yeah, I mean, the injuries do matter. I love that last drive, 10-minute drive. I don't know that I've ever seen that. From Arkansas, I don't know that I've ever seen that. Has anyone ever seen a 10-minute drive from Arkansas? Any team? Even going back to Brett Bielema or Houston Nutt? We know those guys love to run the ball and eat up the clock. Rocket Sanders is 150 yards ahead. Rocket Sanders is 150 yards ahead the guy in second place for rushing. Yeah, he's killing it. Tackling wasn't that good in the BYU game. Yeah, a lot of missed tackles. For sure. Mark Beard says, Barry Odom is a great defensive mind. Wait until the season is over and you will be given proof. I mean, I hope, Mark. I don't know. I hope so. I hope he proves me wrong. I just don't see it happening. And like I said, I think it was a perfect storm on defense. I think it was a perfect storm on defense for Arkansas. It's already a lack of quality depth, injuries, you know, just getting riddled with the guys that you lost, Fouché and Brooks. We don't talk enough about Mo Brown. We don't talk enough about Mo Brown not being on this roster. Auburn's offense seems so one-dimensional, but so does ours. They weren't on Saturday, Tony. That was balance. That's as balanced as this offense can get, and I loved it. I think that was the best called game maybe ever for Kendall Briles at Arkansas. And again, against a respectable defense, a secondary, I should say, not all the way. They're not a great defense. They give up a lot on the ground, and they can give up some scores. But 52-35, that was as balanced as you're going to get, man. 40 passing attempts, 42 rushing attempts. 82 plays, and that is split down the middle. That's, I mean, just great balance. And you saw what happened. 6.6 yards per carry. No matter who touched the ball. Raheem Sanders, 15 carries, 175 yards. That's nearly 12 yards a carry with 2 touchdowns. I mean, it's just an ongoing highlight reel outside of the first quarter. The first quarter still seems to be a bit of an issue. Arkansas still only averaging about 5 points every first quarter. They've got to figure out these slow starts, but by God, you're going to live with 24 points, with 7 points in the opening quarter, and then 24 points in the second quarter. That second quarter killed them. That demoralized them in the second quarter. You could just tell. You could just tell, man. Then you respond with 14 more points in the third quarter, and then 7 points in the fourth. That's how you do it, man. That's how you get the job done. I was still impressed with their run defense. These guys ran the ball 30 times, 115 yards given up, 2 rushing touchdowns, sure, but just 3.8 yards per carry. You know, you're going to live. You can live with that. Jaron Hall did exactly what we thought he was going to do. You know, he threw for 350 plus, 3 touchdowns and just a pick. They had 2 receivers, 120 plus yards or more, Cody Epps and Puka Nakua, if I'm saying that right. And then Keanu Hill had 4 catches for 61 yards. Isaac Rex had 2 catches for 6 yards and a touchdown. Yeah, and sometimes it's just too easy. Teams are just walking down the field. Wilson Wood, let's talk about Simeon Blair. I refuse to believe a freshman like Jalen Lewis or Anthony Brown could not do more than him. Yeah, I agree with you, Wilson. I agree with you, sir. And I do remember who you are. That's not a bad take out of you. I'm going to do my best Josh Bernaccini impression. That's not a bad take out of you. I listen to both. I listen to Josh Bernaccini in the morning, and I listen to Ty Richardson, Chuck Barrett, and Tommy Kraft. I listen to them both. Not a bad take out of you. It's pretty cool listening to Chuck Barrett again on the radio. I'm not going to lie. It's pretty neat. Pretty neat. Takes me back to my childhood days when Chuck was on the radio around these parts. Yeah, Simeon Blair has they got a lot of work to do. I don't know what else to tell anybody. I agree. But, yeah, you're going to see guys play. It's coming, right? It's coming. Arkansas has this bye week, right? Okay. We know the bowl game does count against you. So I don't know if you see them play until Liberty or not. Because the rule states, I believe, and I think Dudley backed this up, it's 4 total games, period, bowl game or not. If you play 4 regular season games, then that's your limit. And if you play the bowl game, you've now burned your red shirt. I'm pretty sure that is the rule. So I don't know that we'll see anybody play, any freshmen play till maybe LSU. I could be wrong. I need to look the rules up on that, or one of you can while I'm talking about it. But I don't know that you see them play against Auburn. I definitely, unless they're just desperate and they're like, to hell with it, let's just play them, which could happen. Fortunately, these next 2 teams are not elite offensive teams. Auburn, the closer we get to that game, obviously I'll do more evaluation on Auburn. And then Liberty, mostly a defensive team. By the way, they're 6-1 on the year. LSU has proven that they are way better than I thought they were. Ole Miss is, I don't know what to make of Ole Miss. I don't know if they're deserving of that top 10 rank or not. Mizzou is just salty. They're salty on defense. They're tough at home. I absolutely believe you're going to see people play in those final 2 games at least. Those true freshmen that you don't want to burn their red shirt. It's almost like Blair is only a captain in seeing the field because Jalen Catalon talked him up. I don't know. Do you think this season will hurt in our recruiting commits? So they're on these kids to sign early. They're on these kids to sign in December. I think it's too early to say, but yeah, I mean, let's say you miss a bowl game, yeah, that's probably going to have an impact. I mean, these kids, they want to play, they want to get to the next level, but they also want to play for at least a respectable program as well, right? So we'll just have to check back in, right? We'll get Otis Kirk, we'll talk to Otis, We'll see. We'll kind of reevaluate where we're at in recruiting. We'll see if anybody, you've had one decommit for the following class, but I think there's a lot to that decommitment. Not sure, how much of it's true, but there's all kinds of reasons why these kids decommit, right? I'll give props to Blair for coming this far, but he does not deserve to play at this point. Well, I mean, you got to play who you feel comfortable with back there. I don't know. Eesh, I don't know. I hope that's the case. Oh, you're talking to somebody else. You can't get any worse. It's either a penalty, long play, or touchdown that gives up almost. Well, it's McLaughlin who gets hit with those penalties, but that's just the type of corner he is. He's physical. I love Dwight McLaughlin. I don't think we talk him up enough. I don't think we talk him up enough at all. I really don't. Yeah, we already talked about Mbake and McAdoo. Yeah, they're going to play in the secondary. Yep. Yeah, Ole Miss hardest games are coming up. Pretty cupcake so far. Yeah, their schedule has not been anything to write home about. It just hasn't. There's nothing about their schedule that's like, oh my God, look at these teams they've beaten. They must be great. I don't think so. Not saying that they're a bad team at all. I think they're a good football team. I just don't know if they're top 10. That's all I'm saying. I just don't know if that's a top 10 team. I don't think so. What I've watched this year, they don't look like a top 10 team to me. A lot of things going on with that passing offense I'm not so sure about. There's some other areas they struggle in a little bit, but they are playing some pretty good football, though. I mean, you can't deny it. I hate it, though, because I think Blair is a great guy who bleeds Razorback red, but the coaches shouldn't even be putting him in that position to where he's – yeah, again, it's just what they have to work with, and I don't think they want to burn anybody's red shirts. Drew Sanders should spend more time on the edge, in my opinion. Best pass rusher. At inside linebacker is a mistake. Yeah, I talked about that. I talked about that going into week 1. Why is he playing Mike? I mean, I've even read his evaluation. Someone out there has him as an OLB. They have him as an edge rusher. I don't know. I don't know if that's just simply what they feel comfortable with, switching him and Poole. I don't know. It's weird. Why isn't he out on the edge more? Why are you putting him at Mike? I don't know that we've been given a real sound reason for that unless I missed it, which is absolutely possible. Quinn Grovey is doing a pretty good job this year as the color. Yeah, he is. Yeah, I've listened to a little bit. Quinn's good, man. I'm not gonna lie. I grew up listening to Keith Jackson. I loved Keith, man. I know he's an OU guy, out of Little Rock. He played at OU. And he shouldn't have any regrets for that. Obviously, he accomplished a lot, but I loved him. He was my favorite, him and Chuck. It was just, I don't know, it was great. Some of those penalties on Dwight are BS. So I'll say that. Some of them are, but if you listen to when you listen to these guys talk about what they will call, it won't matter if you trip up the feet. It won't matter if the feet get tangled. If there's physical contact between the corner or the DB or the linebacker, whoever, and there's physical contact, and or whether that's the arm around the back, arm around the shoulder, arm anywhere on the helmet, where it looks like they're impeding their ability to make a play on the ball, they're going to throw the flag. And, yeah, I agree. Some of them have been BS. I do agree. Hope Isaiah gets some – oh, I know. I agree, Brody. I hope he does. I'm really excited to see what Centennial can do. Really hope – I don't know stiff competition at wide receiver, but I really want to see him get on the field and make some plays. Absolutely. Hey, Ty, been a while since I've been in here. Credit to Clark against BYU. Yeah, what's up, man? Arkansas is better than you think. Yeah, had a great game. Clark does belong at safety. Lane's a media darling. Okay. All right. Okay. Again, I do appreciate you guys. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. I'm jealous of Tennessee. Oh, don't get me started. I'm glad, it's weird. I'm glad Bama went down. I want more parity in college football. I want more parity. I just hate that it's Tennessee. I'm the guy over here that's like, college football's gotten so predictable, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, so on and so forth. But then I'm like, damn, I hate that it's Tennessee. Damn, I hate that it's Ole Miss. But we need parity. We need these teams. You need programs. And not only that, but it kind of makes you feel like, well, shit, why not Arkansas? Why, if Tennessee could do it, we know if Ole Miss can do it. We've done it before. You won 20 games in 2010 and 2011. You went to a BCS bowl. You faced a respectable Kansas State team a couple of times in some good bowls and won those games. You've competed. You've come so close to beating Bama a couple of times in, however long it's been since 2006. Golly, you just hate that it's Tennessee. Now, I don't know. Is Tennessee going to get by Georgia? I don't know. Well, it's going to the playoff picture right now is crazy. I'll say that. Nothing sucks like. And what's nuts is, man, their basketball program is killing it. Their football program is killing it. And their baseball team, say what you want. I know we all hate them. We hate them. We hate their baseball program. But, they're killing it. You got to give props. I'm not one of these, so jaded. I'm not one of these people that's just so jaded I'm not going to give credit. I'm going to give credit where credit's due. Tennessee as a program is absolutely slaying it. Good for them. Arkansas is not exactly trending backwards. Football, maybe. We'll see. The jury's still out on football. Baseball, I think they're going to be fine. Basketball, I feel really good about, So, yeah. I'm feeling pretty good about where Arkansas is at. That's why shouldn't be too envious. Arkansas athletics is doing just fine. Ty, who wins the night first? Razorback basketball or Razorback baseball? Man, that's tough. That's tough. I'd have to go basketball. If either of them do it, I'd have to go basketball. He took an okay team a couple of years ago to the Elite Eight and actually went toe to toe with the eventual national champions. Then last year, I thought you played okay, but that was a good team. I think that team last year was a little bit better than the team before. Actually, both those teams are really good. I don't know, but the fact that he's gotten them to back-to-back Elite Eights with this class, with what they have coming back in Devo, and they're so deep. My God, they are deep, man. I just it's gotta be basketball. Baseball, listen, the consensus, I think, throughout most of Razorback fandom is that Dave Van Horn is the caliber of coach that will get you to the World Series. He just won't win it. And maybe that's true. Maybe that bubble pops this year. I've kind of always had this feeling like once it does, then they're going to be in that position every year to win it all. It just feels like they're on the cusp of an elite level of play we've never seen in Arkansas baseball. And to think about that, how many College World Series he's taken us to think that it could possibly get any better than what he's already accomplished. It feels like had they won that World Series, we all know the infamous the infamous dropped foul ball, which I think should have been a routine catch, but whatever. I feel like had that happened, it would have the bubble would have popped in a good way, where you're doing something beyond just making it and winning once. It just feels like they're on the cusp of an elite level of play we've never seen in Razorback baseball. Again, that's a mouthful because of how great Razorback baseball has been. People do not appreciate enough, really need to look around, to compete in SEC baseball like they do, to be considered one of the top 2, top 3 programs year in and year out without a natty, without winning it all in Omaha is insane. This is the best sport for SEC, period. It's the best sport in baseball. What do they average throughout a season? Teams ranked 8? Wasn't it last year they had 9 ranked at one point? Or was that the year before last? I mean, it's ridiculous how good this conference is in baseball. It's like minor league baseball. It's what it is. And the prospects that Dave has put into the MLB, into the farm leagues, it's just crazy. They're so close. But I do think it ends up being basketball. I don't know. That's a tough one. Pike Peak Hog says I'm that jaded. I'm not that jaded. I'm not where I'm so angry at someone for beating a team like Bam. I'm not. I've got friends that are Vols fans. Not very many. I worked with a guy for a while that was a Vol fan. I've got another couple. I don't know if they're more like acquaintances, if anything, that are Vols fans, and they're really good people. Like, they actually cheer on Arkansas. They're pretty good. I'm happy for them. But, I want parity in football, no matter how we get it. I kind of want, like TCU, I want them to go on. Even though I think anyone out of the Big 12 should have to go undefeated to even have a shot and win their title or the conference title to have a shot at making the playoffs, right? It's better than MLB. I don't know about that, Todd, and that might be going a little too far. I don't think it's better than MLB, but it's ridiculous. If you're talking about the SEC, it's just ridiculous how good this conference is. Everyone needs to understand that Briles is a great OC, but his situational awareness play calling is not good. He will rack up yards and sometimes just shoots himself in the foot with dumb calls. See, you were doing so good, Wilson. You were doing so good. All right, I don't completely disagree with that. But I will argue that the fumbles, the interception, I guess, or you can even talk about Malik Hornsby's 2 picks, not on him, right? The execution on the field still has to happen, right? And we've seen them not manage to get the push at the goal line. That's not on him. I've seen them. They actually threw the ball on first down, which I was really proud of. I do agree he, in the past, his situational play calling has been questionable. I think this year it's gotten better. We're still seeing trick plays, but not as often. I do think sometimes they cross the 50-yard line and all of a sudden, instead of going north-south, he's going east-west. And I don't understand that. There are times it's easy for us, it's easy for anybody who's not out there on the field or not calling the plays. It's easy for us to critique, but that's okay. That's okay. Fans should be allowed to do that. The media should be allowed to do that. And I will agree that sometimes, he gets a little clunky. But I don't know, is there a coordinator outside of what's going on at Tennessee? Is there a coordinator across college football that's not criticized or critiqued? Is there a single offensive coordinator anywhere that's not talked about? Like, he at least has some stats to back up he's doing a hell of a job. I do want the scoring offense to go up. Not all that's on him. Again, the turnovers down in the red zone and on the other side of the field, the fumbles. It's mostly fumbles. I would like to see the offensive line get the same level of push that they get on first and second down that they should be able to get on, goal line situations. I would like to see that happen more often. That's an execution thing. And then at the same time, they've just got to call a complete game, and that's hard to do. But with this defense, it puts even more pressure on Kendall and on that offense to get the job done, because the defense, very rarely are they going to win very many battles. Very rarely are they going to get 3 and outs. How many 3 and outs do they have against BYU? Was it 2? I mean, guys, really, what do they average 3 and outs? It's got to be single digit. It's got to be 3, maybe 3, 4. That's horrible. So much pressure is on the offense. Red zone offense has got to get better. They got to execute better. And I do think some of it is play calling, but a lot of it's just been execution on the field and turning the ball over. You go back to the KJ fumble against A&M, trying to Superman it from the 3-yard line. You go back to Malik Hornsby's couple of picks against Mississippi State where he's just trying to do too much. Not all of it's on him, and not all of it's on the players. Not all of it's on execution. I think like I said, it's a college football is not black and white. There's a lot that happens, and it takes 11 guys plus the head coach plus everybody on the staff, quality control people, the offensive coordinator. Takes everybody being on the same page. Takes the play caller knowing what or expecting the defense, knowing what he thinks they're going to do. Right? That doesn't make sense. Having a better feel for the game from an offensive standpoint and where you're at, and that goes back to that situational play calling, which I do think Kendall struggled at the last couple of years. I was very critical of KB, and I still have my criticisms. I think right now the majority of the heat should absolutely be on Barry Odom and not on Kendall Briles. He's gotten better in total offense. Scoring offense is, I think, it's right about where it was at a year ago, maybe a little bit ahead. There's just a couple of areas where they need to get a little better, right? The fired DVH folks are out of their minds. God, don't get me started on that. Don't get me started on that. People just don't realize how well they've got it with the baseball program, and that's thanks to DVH. Absolutely. But, yeah, like I said, a lot still left to be desired, right, from this football team. I think the BYU game was an example of what this offense can be. I think they can put 40. I don't know if they could put 40 points up a week. I don't know about that. They scored 52 on BYU, and they did that with. You would think with 52 points, oh well, BYU must have turned the ball over like 5 times. No, they didn't. BYU must have made a ton of mistakes, right? No, they had 4 penalties. Now, it was 50 yards, but they had 4 penalties. Arkansas had 7 for 98. They had a couple. They had a couple of. They did have 3 turnovers. I was wrong about that. They did have 3, but they didn't have an obscene amount. 3 is a lot, but they didn't have like 5. Right? When you're talking about 50+ points, you would think BYU made a lot of mistakes, and they did make some mistakes, but Arkansas's defense getting off the field late in the game was huge, and Arkansas's offense just kept responding. Got off to an incredibly slow start, just 7 points in the opening quarter. BYU had 13, and then you saw what happened the rest of that game. They mostly had control, at least from an offensive standpoint. I'm liking that, and I'm liking that we were able to do that. KJ comes back. He proved so many people wrong this week. So much skepticism about KJ and his development. Well, look what he did. He went out and proved everybody wrong. Now, again, can they score 40 a week? I don't know. That might be asking a little bit too much for Arkansas. That might be asking a little bit too much right now. But especially considering, I don't know if they put 40 on Auburn. Auburn, they have some issues on defense. I don't know if they put 40 on Liberty. I don't know if they put 40 on LSU or Ole Miss. That feels like that's kind of where they need to be. They need to be about 38, 40 points a week to win these games, to win out. Yes, I think Arkansas makes a bowl game, but I think it really could just be by the skin of their teeth. It really could be. It could be. It could just be a 6-6, right? I think 7 wins is I think just about anything's possible. Do they have 4 more wins? Can they get to that 8-win total? I don't know. Guess we'll find out. But the Auburn game will tell us a little more. But I'm so happy they went on the road and they got that BYU dub. That's huge, man. That's huge. It's so big. It's so important. It cannot be stressed enough. All right. I do appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for being here. Remember to like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. Majority of you have. But, yeah. The baseball program has been so high for so many years that they've forgotten how bad it can be if DVH leaves. You're not wrong. Getting Slusher back and putting Sanders on the edge will help. I agree with that, Tusky. Yeah. I hope they put him back on the edge. And losing Miles Rouser really took a hit on the second. Well, yeah, but I mean you're kind of talking about a freshman there. I think long term that could have pretty big effects, but they've just got to go out and they've got to kill the portal. They've got to crush the portal. They got to go out and get some guys that can help you now. Could Rouser have helped as a true freshman? I don't know. I've always been pretty big on him. I thought he could have come in and at least played, and I think had with all these injuries, could he have come in and started? I think that's a possibility, yeah. Have a real major impact as a freshman? I don't know. That's not very common for Arkansas, but they'd be better off with him. I'll say that, at least on the field, right? All right. I will we'll be back. I think I'm going to try and get Otis. I think I'm trying to get Otis on Thursday, and we'll get you guys. We'll kind of, I'll get his thoughts. Maybe we'll get caught up on some recruiting. We'll talk about his thoughts on BYU and then his thoughts, what they need to get right with their week off. I'm curious what he has to say about that. So I do appreciate each and every one of you. Again, to these people right here, Patreon supporters, you guys are all stars. I do appreciate each and every one of you. And if you want to join, hey, the link is down below. If you're in our Discord, the link is on the Patreon page also. All right. I'll see you guys later on in the week. Woo pig. Go Hogs.